Welcome in this tutorial for deploying your MERN Stack application onto Heroku. So the application we'll be making today is post application. As you can see here, we've got a lot of posts and they're all arranged in cards. It could use some pagination, but it's not related to the UI. So we're going to be using Heroku as our deployment production place and MongoDB for storage. And that's all. And we'll be trying it on our local hosts as a deployment environment, and we'll later upload it to the production, which is going to be Heroku. Okay. So you will need a MongoDB account. So as we're going to be using that, and we'll be using Express as our web framework, React as the JavaScript framework for our UI, and Node.js will be the server side, and we'll handle all the server side part. Okay. So also you'll need a Heroku account because that's where we'll be deploying it. Firstly, let's start by creating our database. So I'll tell you how to set it up.
Okay, now to create a free service, you are gonna need to first create a new project. So let's do that first, okay? Just click on new project and give your project a name. So mine is gonna be just MERN Stack. Okay. Click next and create a project. So you can add more members depending on your team. I'm working alone, so I won't need to do that. Okay. Create a cluster and create a free one. So because it's a tutorial. Okay, you can choose your services. I'm gonna go with AWS because it's fine. So let's do that. And Singapore because it's nearest to me. And just click create. Now this in the background will allocate some storage and do a lot of other things, setting up all that stuff. Might take a while. Okay, it's done. Now, as you can see here, we have got multiple options. We've got the bars that tell us the activity going on. So we need to set up, the first thing is database access. So the database access is for who can access your database. So you'll need to create a new user. For me, I will just create one with my name. Okay, so it'll be Jeet code 123 because I think it's simple. Now, this is a password for your database. So make sure you choose a secure password. Try not to do the same thing I am doing, which is setting up a simple password. Instead, try doing this. So generate a new secure password and use that in production. But for testing purposes, I'll just make a simple one. So it's gonna be Jeet code and 123. And the password is going to be the same thing. So it's going to be Jeet code 123. Okay. Now I have created a super user. So it's going to be an admin account. And I'm going to give it read and write access. Okay. It's pretty simple. Now, as you can see, a new user has been created with read and write access of all resources. So it's an admin account. Next, set up the network access. So you can add your own IP address. That's one thing. And another thing is you can add from anywhere. I won't recommend it in the production environment, but for testing purposes, I'm gonna add access from anywhere, okay? So let's do that. Just click allow access from anywhere and add a comment so that you understand what's this for. It can be for your server or whatever. I'm just putting anywhere. I'll make it temporary because I'm going to delete this project after one day. Okay. Next, just click confirm and it should create one for you. Okay. It's pretty easy up till now. So because we are just setting up the database, it's going to be simple things. Now you will get an email from MongoDB, as you can see. Okay. So that's it for setting up. Now you can just go to your cluster and click connect. The connection will give you three options. So it'll give you how to connect with MongoDB and all that. Just click on your application because I'm going to do that. And depending on your Node.js version, you can choose whatever language you are working with. I'm working with Node.js. I hope you are too. Version is going to be 3.6, so that's fine. Now this is the URI. So this is the connection URI, which is very important. We'll copy this. And since we don't have an application yet, so let's work on that before we come back and do a lot of fun stuff with this. Okay, click close, and you're done with the database. Okay, now let's set up our teaching environment. So we'll create a React application. Go to your folder wherever you want to create one. So I'm going to create it in teaching materials and just cd into it. Next, you can create a new project. You will need a few tools. First is Node, because that's how we're going to develop the application. So just download it. You can just type Google, go at nodejs.com. That's fine. And you have to install it. You'll get a installer. And another thing is you need Yarn, because we are going to use Yarn. Personally, I like Yarn. It's great. And you can install it. Mac's pretty easy. And Windows, you get a different way to install, which is an exe file. I'm sure you can find it out. Okay, now I'm going to be using Create React App, which is a tool that sets up a lot of dependencies and libraries. So just type npx create react app and click your project name. So mine is going to be like MERN Stack, MERN App. Okay, that's fine. And it'll do a lot of things where it'll set up the folder. First of all, it'll create a new folder for you, set up the name, and inside this folder you will find that it's also creating some directories such as source directory. And okay, let's see what it's creating. Okay, here you can see it's got source folder, public directory, and node modules. The important part is yarnlock and package.json. We are going to be working with them a lot later on in this project. So let's wait for the build to complete and it'll tell us what to do next. Here you can see yarn start, yarn build, yarn test. To start off the project, first we'll need to do is cd into the MERN application. So let's do that. And after we do that, we can just click, oh, I made a mistake. Okay. I think it's yarn start. Okay, yeah. As you can see, we are working. It's working. You can see the project running on the 3000 port because that's the default port for React. Let's stop that because we will need to change stuff. Okay, I'll be using VS Code because that's my preferred code editor. Depending on what you like, you can use whatever. Feel free. Okay, let's open our project, which is the MERN app. Okay, I'm gonna drag and drop because I like to do it that way. And this will open the project in my VS Code. Now, I love VS Code because it's got a lot to work with. So first, let's check the application.js. This is the template that was created by Create React App. So it's got a logo and a simple header, a few stuff. It's beautiful, but we are gonna change it. First, we need to create the first file, which is client, because we are gonna embed it. So let's create that. I'm gonna create a folder named client, and I'm gonna drag and drop everything into there. So I want the application to run in a client folder, then I'll have the server overlaid over it. So that's what we are gonna do next. Let's drag and drop everything from here. Okay, let's go back. Okay, drag everything from here to the client. Okay, that's done. Let's go back. Now, let's check first if we broke something. Okay, let's move that too. I'm gonna open up the terminal. Okay, the terminal, where is that? Okay, everything looks correct. Let's open up the terminal. And here it is. We can use the same command, which is first we need to cd first, okay, client, and yarn start. Okay, this won't work. Okay, yeah. Let's cd, simply like cd first, client, and then we can do yarn start. Okay, we forgot to yarn install, so let's do that first. So yarn install, and yep, now it should be fine. Let's do yarn start. Okay, we have something running. So it's running the React scripts which are in package.json. As you can see, it's gonna be fine. Everything's running great. Okay, now let's start by creating a backend. So to start the backend, we need a entry point. In this case, which is server.js. So let's create that. Now the server.js will handle all our APIs and all that good stuff. Okay. Now we do need to create a new package.json there. Okay, so we can do that by doing yarn init. Type in the name. Mine is my MERN app, so I'll just leave it to default. Just tap enter and it should be fine. Okay. Version 1 entry point. We'll change this to server.js because that's the file name in our case. We don't have the repository yet, but we'll have later. I'll upload it to GitHub. Okay, yep, done. So now we have created a package.json. It's got the basic stuff. We will need a new script, so let's create one. You can do that by typing scripts, and mine will be called the start script because that's the starting it. So we'll need this one to start the server for us. We'll use NodeMon, which is a hot reload extension for the Node.js server. Okay, we don't have it yet, so let's install this stuff. I'm just gonna type in NodeMon, and we also need Express, and another one is body parser. I'm not sure I'll be using this, but let's install it first. So these are the backend dependencies that we will be using in our project. Okay, another one is Mongoose, which will handle all the database calls and database related stuff. Okay, it's loading, and skip. Now as you can see, it's installed everything that we need. I think so. Am I missing something? Yep, concurrently. So concurrently will be used to run our server and our application at the same time. We'll be using that to do that. So run scripts simultaneously. So let's wait. Now, okay, it's installed version 5.3.0, and we have got everything. So next we will start by doing, let's say, okay, let's code it up. As I told, we will need a few things. The first one is Express. Now Express is the one that handles all the static application side. So it's Express web application services. Okay, pardon. Next we will need path. So the path is not something that you'll install, it just comes with the node. What else do we need? Okay, I think we do need something else. Let me think. Yep, we need to add the .env file. So .env, because we are going to be using environmental variables, so let's add that. So the way you import it is you first create a file. So we'll name it config.env. So this will handle all our environmental variables. Let's create a few then. We will keep our URI string, which we created in, where was it? Okay, I think this one. Yep. Okay, we'll get that connection URI string. Yeah, just copy this one and we'll paste it there. So the password is important, and I told you before you need to keep it a secret. It should be called Mongo URI. That should be fine. And let's type in the password. Where is it? Okay, mine is JEET and code 123, and the database name in this case will be Stone. I'm assuming that's something nice. Stone. Simple, right? Okay, let's add a few others, such as the port and the environment. The first one, the port. Usually the database runs in 5000, so leave it at that. And a node environment, this is the one that will keep whether we are in deployment or we are in production. Okay, so this will be important later on, so make sure you do it right. And okay, let's go back. Let's import the config that we created. So require, it's called .env, so let's do that. And let's pass in the config file we created. So the paths, it'll require the path, which is in our case config.env. Is it correct? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's okay. Is it in the root directory, right? So it's gonna be fine. So next we will make the database file. So that's where we will write all our code to connect to a database. Okay, here. Now let me code all the stuff first, and later I will explain to you what each line does. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I'm done with my coding. So let's explain. Okay, so we are using Mongoose, as you can see in the first line. We imported that. So the Mongoose here will handle all our databases calls, and it will connect the database for us. Okay, now the second line, the database connect, we have made a function. So this function will be the one that we will call in the server.js. Okay, the function does is basically we asked Mongoose to connect, which is a function in Mongoose. The variables include the Mongo URI, which we got from the database, which was MongoDB. Now, the second parameter are options. So the Mongoose recommends two main options. First is use new URL parser and use unified topology. If you don't use them, so if you don't set them to true, Mongoose will not be happy and it'll throw in some warnings. Okay, now the rest this function does is throw it into a try and catch. So if it succeeded, it'll pop up connection to database success and thumbs up, and if there's an error, it will just say connection failed and boom. The last line is just exporting this so that we can call it in the main file. So that's it. Now we are at the server.js, and we will just call the function we just created, so connect DB. Now remember this function, what it does, so it just connects the database for us. Okay, let's start coding the rest of the server.js. As usual, I will code first, then I'll explain to you what I have done. explanation time. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, as I told you, we have got two sides of product. We have got production, which is going to be on Heroku. That's where the production is going to be. And then we have got development, which is going to happen locally. And both of them have different paths for the content being served. Once you build your project, your web app, it will be served from, as it says, from client, build, right? And all the requests are going to be sent to the API. So to do that, we need to set up by checking process.env.node variables, right? So in these, we can specify whether it's currently a working production or a development. In this case, we check for that, and depending on where we are, we send the data from either build or the current working directory. Okay, that's the if else here. And at the end, we are doing the listening at the part. So that's how we will know whether there are requests coming in or all that good stuff. So we set that up by simply typing in command app.listen, and the parameters include the port. So the port will be 5000 as we set in config.env file here, right? So if it's successful and nothing went wrong, it'll just type in server running on port 5000. So that's it. Okay, let's continue. Now let's test for the whether everything went correctly by typing in yarn start. Okay, you see it's gonna run the command for nodemon, which we have specified here. So the start script is running right now, and it says failed. Okay, let's see. Let's check the config. We type everything correctly. Nope, this is the problem. Okay, now it should work. Let's test it again. And see, success. That's nice. Okay, the database has connected successfully. Now nodemon will check for any changes and will reload automatically, so we won't have to start and stop it again and again every time we make a change. So now we need to get some APIs, right? To get an API, we need a folder. Let's name it models. In the models folder, since I showed you in the beginning, the project will have some post models which we will create. I already have them, so I might copy paste some of the code, but I'll try minimizing it. Okay, let's post.js. For post, we need to get Mongoose, because Mongoose has its own schema for MongoDB, which works great. So let's first import that, and I'll code it for you, then I'll explain what it does. It's done. So the first one is, as I told you, Mongoose schema. So it's as simple as making a whole model. So it's a post schema by just typing in whatever fields it has. So in our case, it has a title, which is of the type string, and it is a required field. So I pass that in, and the text with the true is if it doesn't input any title, it'll throw an error saying that please type in the title. Same goes for the other. We have got an author, we've got a body, so the post body. At the end, so this is an insertion part. Okay, so we have got mongoose model. So the first parameter is the name of the schema. So it's called a post. So a single post will be called a post. The second parameter is the schema itself that we just created. And the third parameter is for the collection of this schema. So a collection, what would you like them to be called in the database? So in this case, I'll just set it as posts. So in the last line, we just export this model so that we can use it in our controller. Next, I want you to create some controllers. So let's create that folder, so controllers. So in the controllers, we'll handle all the requests. So this is where the actual logic of like when the request comes in, what should be the request parameters, what it should accept, and we'll create a post controller. Okay, let me code this out and I'll explain what it does. Okay, let's start. So the first thing is we have got the modules that we created, so we imported it by giving in the path. So it's in the modules and post required. Then we have export. We export the get all posts. So in this line, get all post, you could say is the function name that you will call in the main file. Okay, so this is an async function. So what it does is it asks the post, which is the mongoose model, that's important, to find in the database with an empty parameter. So find with an empty bracket tells the mongoose DB to get all of the posts. So it will return every single post here. And if we get the request successfully, we'll just respond to it by giving it a status of 200 and sending the data back with the status of success. And if it doesn't, we'll just do the same thing, but this time with a 500 error and the status as failed with the message of server error. So that's all for our controller. Next, we will code the routes. Okay.
The routes are the access points of the API. So when the user accesses the API through the front end, they will use the route that we set here in the routes folder, and then they will access the API through that. Okay, so let's create the post router. This is a simple route function. So we have express here, then we created an express router to handle the routing. And we also required the post controller. The post controller, that's where we want all our logic, the post logic to be handled. So we just set the route of backslash to a get function, and it will be handled by the post controller's get all posts function. So that's all it does. Let's continue. Now that we have our route set up nicely, we need to call them in the server.js and map them to the listening part. So that's probably 5,000. So let's get it first. Require post routes. And the path is, I think, it should be dot slash and it routes slash post routes. That's right. Okay, we first have to require it, and then we'll need to type app.use. Where is it? Okay, here. Use and set it to. So the API slash v1 slash post, that's the URL that will be accessed by the front end. So, and we will further map it to the controllers, the, the routes that we have set up. So the full URL will be API slash v1 slash routes. It's API slash v1 slash post and the simple slash here. Yeah, that's right. So we can now test it. So let's do that. Okay, we'll change it to 5,000. And you can see it says the first server is running. So the server is working. Now let's type the path in. So API slash v1 slash posts. Nope. Okay, let's check the path. I think I mapped it wrong. Here, I missed a backslash. And now it should work. Yep. As you can see, it's a success message, but we don't have any data yet. So it returned an empty array. So that's fine. So we need some data right now. And for you guys, it will be different, but I have my own set of data. So I'll upload it to the MongoDB, and then I'll come back again. So I have installed the data. I uploaded the data through a JSON file to MongoDB. Now it's there. Let's test and see what the API returns this time. I'll use the same API again. Voila, we have got a lot of data. Now what we need to do to test it again is to call it on our client side. I'll turn up to app.js, and this is currently the old code. I'll switch it up, and since we have got cards and all that, we'll need to do some changing. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'll just remove all of it because we'll start from scratch. And let me code the app.js up, and I'll explain what it does later. Code, okay, so we are gonna use state and effect. But since we saw cards, we are gonna need to create that. So let's do that. So first we start by creating a folder in the source. Let's name it components, because that's what we are gonna make, smaller components of code that we can call again and again. And we'll need some CSS and HTML and JS code here. So I'll make a new file, call it cart.css. And I have a CSS, my old one, so I'll just copy paste here. So the styling depends on how you would want your own card to look like, so it doesn't really matter much. And I also have another one called card.js. So this will be the main, let's say, code that. So here's what we have. So we have got a card and a simple card title, card author, and body. So we are getting it from post.title.author.body. Okay. Next, we'll code it into the app. That over as well. So here it is. Okay. So we have got several things going on, but we'll test it first. So let's do that. So we need to start our back end, so our API and our React client application at the same time for them to be able to talk to each other. Otherwise, it'll just say retired or something. So as you can see, so we have got our React application running. Okay, some error occurred. So it's probably due to the package.json. We haven't set up the proxy yet. So we'll do that by going to the package.json. So without the proxy, the requests that are being sent in 3000 won't go to requests in 5000. So that's to the server. You can just type proxy. And remember adding a comma before the last one, or it'll show up as an error. Just type in HTTP, not HTTPS, localhost, and to the port 5000. So now it should be correct. So we'll need to restart our React app because we changed something in package.json. So let's wait a bit and reload. Okay, it says loading and we have got all our cards showing nicely. So that's it for connecting our application to API and running it. So it says status code okay, so our request got through. Since we are here, first we need to install Heroku. So what you need to do is, okay, what you need to do here is go to heroku.com and actually go to Heroku CLI. So this is the one you need. So first you'll need to install this. In Mac, I can just do this. So I'll copy this, hit it into the terminal, and make a new terminal. Okay, install this. And it shouldn't take much time because I already have it installed beforehand. You guys must have to install it. So the Windows, you can just install the 34 or 32 or 64-bit installer. You can do this command in Ubuntu, so depending on what you're using. Now we have already done that. So another website, just go to heroku.com and make an account of Heroku as well. So this account you'll need to log in into the CLI. And here, as I told you, it's already there. So the next thing you would want to do is type in Heroku login. Okay, so the Heroku login will redirect you to the browser. Just type enter and it'll pop a browser open somewhere. Here it is. And here's where you type in your credentials. But for my case, since I already have an account, I didn't have to do that. I'll just type in login. And it says I'm logged in. So as you can see, my account popped up. Now, before we upload it to Heroku, so let me close that and let me kill this terminal. Nope. Kill terminal. This one too. I'll kill it. So let me close this and close this. And here's what you do. Type in Heroku create. Okay, my stream just failed. So the create was success. Now we'll set up the Heroku script. It should be Heroku post build script. So this one is the script that the Heroku will run after it has completed building our backend, so our API. So here's what you do. So you need a client to be built before deploying the server, right? It's because after building, that's where the data will be served from. So it will serve from the build folder. So you need to create that. To do that, we need to go into the client folder and run the build command. So that's what Heroku post build is here to do. So the command is npm config underscore production. So we need to set npm production to false because after the npm is in production, you can't run any more scripts. So we need to set that to false. And we need to first cd into our client folder. So we do that by simply typing cd to client folder. So let's do that. Cd client. And after we are in the client folder, add a and command so that it'll do this after that. So it'll run a yarn install first to install all the dependencies in package.json of client. And after it has installed that, let it run yarn build. So that's it. So this will run the yarn for you and it'll build the client for us. Let's test it. So let's clean up a bit. So we'll kill this one because we won't need it yet. Sorry, I need a driver. Okay. So we'll kill this one and you can type in git remote and then add git all. So, oh, it's working, sorry. Okay, it's done. So we add git all and add a commit saying that we have initialized everything. So it depends on you what you are gonna type in. Mine is gonna be final production prep. So final prep for production. And let's see what did we get. So it's working. Okay. Oh, we have a problem. Seems like need to push. Okay, let's test first. Heroku push to master. So it'll push everything, your local code to the Git. You can think of it as a Git repository that was managed by Heroku. So as you can see, it's taking a lot of time here. And a simple reason because of that is because we don't have a git ignore. And since we didn't have a git ignore created, what it ended up doing is probably it pushed the node modules there. So let's create a git ignore first. Git ignore. And what I'll do is I'll copy the template file for node git ignore and I'll paste here. Okay, so as you can see, we have our node modules removed here and it uploaded them to the Git. So that's a problem. To fix that one, we need to do is, first of all, we need to empty the cache, all the cached files, such as the node modules. We need to remove all of them. And then we need to create a new commit telling that we have removed the Git problem that we had. Okay, so here's how you do it. So you type in git rm/cache. So this is the one that will remove a cache file. As you can see, it removed node and all these files. Next, we need to add again. And finally, let's create a new commit. that says we have removed all the files. Let's git add all. Okay, did it do it? I'm not sure. Okay, I think it did. So git commit removed files. Okay. As you can see, it deleted all the node module files. That's good. And we can push it again. So git push Heroku master. So this time it'll probably push correctly. So let it do it things. As you can see, okay. So my account has reached it. So Heroku doesn't allow you to build again and again, and I assumingly have exceeded that. So I'll wait a bit and we'll continue again later. I tried running it again and now it's working. So it says it'll do a lot of stuff. So the important part is it's downloading and installing Node 14.5, 14.15.4, okay? Since we didn't specify it in engines, so let's do that. So here what I want you to do is first type in engines and you need to do your own node version. So let's first check my node version. I'll open a new terminal and you can do that by typing node/v or node/version. And mine is 12.9.0. So you can copy the numbers and paste it there. Okay, so and you'll probably need to run it again and it should work. Okay, let's speed things up. Okay, since that's done, and you can type in get status. As you can see, we have made changes to package.json. So you can see around here that we added engines. Okay, so we'll commit that, git add all, git commit slash n with a message telling that we added engine, added node engine would be a better node. My spelling engine. So that should be it. And we can now push again. Push Heroku master. And let's hope it works right this time. API succeeded. And after that, it's deploying. So it's done. So you can check it after Heroku open again. So you can type in Heroku open and this should open up a web page and your app should be loading. And as you can see, everything is working correctly. Now, if in some cases your doesn't work, so I would recommend that you check your. Okay, so it's not here. It should be in the Heroku. I'm looking at the wrong place. So you should go in your personal and your project should be here, created, and go to the settings. And as you can see here, review config variables, click it. And I already have put my variables here. So if you don't, if you have skipped this part or yeah, I think I didn't record it. So I did it. So you should do this. And after you have done that, go back. And if you want to restart the node application, so just go here, click on more and restart all dynamos. Now, when you click restart, your application will not be responsive anymore, it'll take some time for it to complete the whole process again of building and deploying the application. So if you want to check how your application is looking now, you can just type Heroku and logs and tail. I think 2 slashes. It's either 2 or 1. I'm not sure. Okay, so this will show a log of what's happening and what's going on with the application. So as I type in restarting, so it state changed from up to starting, and it stopped everything, and it ran the whole process again. So it went npm start, which started the node.mon server. As you can see here, it started this script, and after that the connection to the database was success. So it does print all the logs again, and here you can see it's back up. So in the next video, I'll teach you about how to Dockerize this application so that you will be able to run Docker in a Docker in your own system, as well as anywhere you want to deploy your application. So thank you all. I had a great time. If you have any questions, you feel free to ask me. I'll leave the GitHub URL as well, so I'll upload it to GitHub, this project. Okay, thank you guys.